Hi folks, this is John Adamson, the Rehab and Documentation Guru, doing something you should never try at home, recording and driving at the same time. To my credit, I'm driving on my mile-long dirt road, which has a speed limit of 10 to 15 miles per hour, so I'm not going to cause any accidents. Wanted to talk today about homebound status, and more particularly about the term taxing effort. So if you're a home therapist doing home care, then obviously this is something that you document on regularly. In Medicare regulations related to homebound status in Chapter 7 of the Medicare Benefit Policy Manual, Medicare specifically states that a taxing effort, or just stating a taxing effort by itself, is not sufficient documentation to support that the patient has taxing effort. So let's talk for a moment about what makes effort taxing. We see a lot of patients with a lot of comorbidities and complexities, and they come out of the hospital with decreased endurance. Now, you've probably seen on one of my other videos where I talk about endurance as being a problem that patients have that we need to quantify. So I'll give you an example. I had a patient the other day who had a cardiac history, and from her room and her living room to out where her car was, it was 60 feet. She also had a ramp to get to her car, and she was using a rolling walker. Now, all of those things should make it fairly easy for her. There's twofold problem for her. Number one, the ramp was not entirely level. It was a good ramp. It was, I guess you could use the word undulating. It was up and down a little bit. So with that incline and decline, that would cause her to work harder. Here's the other problem. She can only ambulate about 50 feet, but then she would desaturate to about 88%, 87% on the pulse oximeter I was using to read her O2 sats. So her taxing effort for her was, number one, obviously she couldn't complete really that last 10 feet, but number two, and more importantly, she had an abnormal parameter of cardiopulmonary performance, and it was placing her at risk. And she had 2-week prior history of having had an MI. So these things make it taxing. I had another patient last week where she had significant peripheral edema issues, and she had a lot of hemosiderin staining on her legs, which is an iron deposit in the skin as a result of chronic venous insufficiency. And for her to have her, and she was telling me how she had to keep her legs elevated during the day, because if she didn't, they got more swollen, and that she'd had a history of cellulitis. And anyway, so part of her taxing effort for not being able to get out of the house is the chronic lower extremity edema problem, where it would tax her system to have her legs down in the car for any long period of time. So it's not a good idea for her to get out into the community. And once you're out in the community, there's really not a lot of options for you to prop your legs up and prevent edema. So when it comes to taxing effort, Medicare will expect you to make sure that you're documenting the specific parameters that prevent the patient from getting in and out of their home. You make it clear, you make it objective, and therefore meeting Medicare's requirements for at least taxing effort as it relates to homebound status. Anyway, this has been John Adamson, the Rehab and Documentation Guru, hoping that you're supporting what you do through your documentation so you can get paid for what you do. Take care, and God bless.